Well, before we get into this show, I just want to take a moment and offer the thoughts and prayers for the officers who've lost their lives today. Just before we went live, there was so 5 officers apparently were shot, and then 3 that have lost their lives. This is over in Pennsylvania. Apparently, they were serving a warrant, and then the suspect ambushed them, and then the coward took their own life. There's still a lot of details that we still don't know, and I'm sure a lot more will come out, and we'll try to keep a check on all those details and bring them to you later. But for a quick break, just a moment of silence, and we pray for them and pray for their families. They're law enforcement. They take on great risks to serve us, along with many others. It's terrible when something like this happens, and it's just our thoughts and our prayers, and hopefully the other 2 officers they make it through, and we can it's something that's so terrible to talk about. And so but we move on now to Kash Patel. And Kash Patel has been the FBI director that the Democrats and Uniparty never ever wanted to have any power. Now, some of you may know some of Kash Patel's past and some not, but he was the one that essentially helped break open the Russiagate investigation. He was the one that uncovered the many things that the Barack Hussein Obama and his deep state did not want any of you to ever know about, that it was through Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton that they were the ones who started the Russiagate probe. And right from the beginning, they knew Russia back in Trump's first term was made up. They knew it was false because they are the ones who made it up. And now finally, all the evidence now is coming out as all these records they tried to hide from us, the American people, have found the light of day. Far too often, when we talk about how there's security clearances and all these different levels of top secret, is many times it's used not the way that it was ever intended supposed to be. Often what it's used for is either to cover up negligence and incompetence, or it's covered up, in this case, to where it looks like what they did was crimes, and they should very much be sitting in prison for the rest of their lives. You have the Clappers, the Brennans, the Rays, the Comey, and all the others who should be sitting behind bars, and hopefully they will very soon. But now this leads up to what happened in Charlie Kirk, who lost his life, and Kash Patel went and took charge of this investigation. And I think for the deep state, this was the final straw, and they're now trying to flex their muscles again and show that they can force Kash Patel out the door, because he broke all the deep state's normal protocols, and he solved the case. And not only did he solve the case, which happened with Charlie Kirk in a very quick, timely manner, but he also forced what they absolutely hate and despise, is having transparency with you, the American people. Okay, understand this about what we call the deep state, these unelected bureaucrats. This is one of the main reasons that they're incredibly furious that Kash Patel ever released this information. Initially, after Charlie was shot, they tried to hide the photos from Kash Patel. Now, Kash Patel, of course, is saying that it wasn't something that they were trying to do so much as it was just they're so used to being in their own little bubbles and not sending things up the chain. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but I find it very suspicious, especially with who the suspect was. And then when we have the past FBI, like through Chris Wray, is every time there was somebody out there who was on the left, who was one of these trans things, they'd hide the manifesto from you, the American people, and they try to over and over again blame the right. So how fast did the FBI know what? I don't know. And I don't know if we can really speculate on all that. But the way this worked out is, one, very suspicious, but then 2, thank goodness that Kash Patel was there, because a lot of this information that we know now, we never would have known if Chris Wray was still in power. This is the facts. Now, he releases that photo, and then what Kash Patel did is he decided that he was going to have a press conference. And of course, the FBI didn't want him to do it. right? They wanted to keep all this stuff internal like they always do. But Kash said, no, we're putting this out to the public. He had the press conference. He showed video and photos. And within 2 hours, it was apparently now, so initially it was reported, I believe, that the father recognized, but it wasn't. It was the mother who recognized her son, and the father with the preacher who confronted their son and then turned them into the police 2 hours later. Because of Kash Patel's, his decisions, he also walked the crime scene himself. And they found the screwdriver and they found the gun, and they're processing all the information at a very quick speed. And now we're identifying the other part of this when the immediately, what do the left do? And what all the radical Democrats try to do is they immediately try to blame right? This is an extreme MAGA Republican, as they always do with these leftist lunatics. Every time something like this happens, they always want to blame the right. It doesn't matter if it's true, because it obviously isn't. But the thing that the left loves to do with their friends in the mainstream media is they will take partial truths and they'll keep pushing that out. But they'll marry those partial truths to a lie. So if you had the entire, all the information, you would never, ever come to the conclusion that they want you to come to. And the Democrats and their friends in the mainstream media, they know this. And so what was the truth that they married to the lie with the Charlie Kirk shooter was that they tried to lie that he was MAGA. How did they come to this conclusion? Well, because he came from a sheriff, someone who worked for the sheriff's department, and then his mother, so he came from his nuclear family who worked with disabled people, and then they are themselves that they are, I think they were Mormon, I believe. And then of course, well, he came from a Christian family, so he must be a Christian. So that was an extreme MAGA Republican. That's immediately what all of them went to running with, and they immediately started to lie to. But of course, as the facts immediately started coming out right away, thanks to Kash Patel, we learned the honest truth. We learned that that this kid was accepted into college, and then he did drop out, but at some point he got radicalized by left. In fact, his own family is saying that when he started to go more and more left in recent years and more extreme. And then we find out that he's on and he's with Antifa, and he put these Antifa sayings on the bullets. And then you find out even more now that he did have an Antifa a trans boyfriend who was being a biological male that was then transitioning into a female. So this was a kid that grew up in, as far as I can tell, a normal white Christian household. But at some point, the left got a hold of this kid and radicalized him to the point where he thought he had the right to take Charlie Kirk's life, all for the simple reason that because Charlie Kirk was saying words that he did not like. And this is how insane the left is. The left thinks that if you speak words that they don't like, that gives them the right to take your life. Absolute insanity. And Kash Patel is the one that brought this all to light. So we have to bring this context into place before we start getting into now here. And this is his going on with Adam Schiff and how it also relates to Russia, of course, because Adam Schiff was the one who was lying about helping the deep state lie about Russia for years. As after the Nemo's memo came out, then it was Adam Schiff that went and said he had his own memo that proved that Donald Trump was a Russian agent. And that, of course, he couldn't release this information to you guys because it was classified. But you just had to trust me, bro, on Adam Schiff. That was, of course, was all proved to be a lie as well. And so then now here's Kash Patel in this very heated and explosive confrontation with Adam Shifty Schiff.
People to believe that? Do you think they're stupid?
No. I think the American people believe the truth, that I'm not in the weeds on the everyday movements of inmates.
Not in the weeds?
What I am doing is protecting this country, providing historic reform, and combating the weaponization of intelligence by the likes of you. And we have countlessly proven you to be a liar in Russiagate, in January 6th. You are the biggest fraud to ever sit in the United States Senate. You are a disgrace to this institution and an utter coward.
I'm not surprised
I'm not surprised that you continue to lie from your perch and put on a show so you can go raise money for your charade. You are a political buffoon at best.
Well, you can take an internet troll.
Take it to the bank that the FBI is protecting this country and the state and citizens of California. We are bringing historic reform. Point of order. But all you care about is a child sex predator that was prosecuted by a prior administration, and the Obama Justice Department and the Biden Justice Department did squat. And what did President Trump do? Bring new charges courageously. And what have we done?
Chairman,
you said I'm the most transparent FBI director in history. 33,000 pages of information to you. I challenge you to say anything credibly to the truth. Go ahead and run to the cameras where you want to go now.
They got covering politics for a very long time. I said that was one of the best confrontations I've ever seen. Adam Schiff was way over his head, you buffoon. And the funny thing is Kash Patel is 100% right here. Adam Schiff lied to the American people for years. He tried to help the Obama and the deep state lie to you, the American people, about Russia, Russia, Russia. Donald Trump was never a Russian agent. They all made that up themselves. And the people that ran with it, like Adam Schiff and Eric Clapper and John Brennan and Chris Wray, they all knew it the entire time. In the mainstream media, MSNBC, CNN, ABC, NBC, New York Times, other Times, Washington Post, Political Axios, every single one of them are in the bag for the DNC. And they also were more than happy to lie to the American people for years. They put Donald Trump's administration through 2 years of hell. And their newest thing from Russia, Russia, Russia is now they're trying to push this Epstein crap. Now, I don't know exactly what Epstein did and didn't do, but it's probably not nothing. But the lie that they're trying to push now that somehow Donald Trump was directly involved, this is the exact same thing as Russia, Russia, Russia all over again. And the biggest reason, as Kash Patel pointed out there, which is so obvious, that if Biden's deep state, right, if you had Chris Wray and you had Merrick Garland, if they had Donald Trump doing awful things with underage children, they would have not have wasted their time with impeachment hoaxes, the January 6 hoaxes, the boxes hoaxes, the felony hoaxes, the Gene Carroll hoaxes. They wouldn't have wasted their time with any of that stuff. All of it would have been leaked to the press back then, and they would have prosecuted Donald J. Trump for that. And that is the most telling that they're waiting until now, right? Waiting until Trump is back in office, and it's all the same people. See, that's what's about this. All the same people that push Russia, Russia, Russia are now trying to push Epstein. And it's the exact same goal as it was in 2016, 2017, as it was in 2024 to 2025. They're trying to slow down and harm the Trump administration as much as they can so they can try to get back power. It really is that simple. It is people like Adam Schiff who weaponized intelligence. And it's people like Adam Schiff who lied about Russia, Russia, Russia. We now know. Okay, there was no memo. He never had it. He said he had classified, but he couldn't release it. Why not? Why couldn't Biden just sign a piece of paper? If they had Trump that bad, what were they waiting for? And I think we all know the answer. It was completely and utterly made up. And now that thanks to Tulsi Gabbard and thanks to people like Kash Patel, that they're going through and they're actually declassifying and releasing all this information. We had over 700 pages now released that have been released to the House committees to start going through and investigating here. Adam Schiff is probably the biggest corrupt politician, maybe since the beginning of this country. And I don't know what they're waiting for. One of the questions we need to ask and answered is, why is Adam Shifty Schiff not in prison? Why is he not arrested? Why is Clapper? Why is Comey? Why is Wray? Why is Brennan? Why are all these men still walking free after the looks like the criminal conspiracy, innocent until proven guilty, but it looks very likely that they were all guilty of it. So what are they waiting for? What's Pam Bondi doing? Kash Patel says they're investigating him, and I have no reason not to believe Kash Patel. And let's see if I can, is that if I can, so I just had to stop that beeping for you guys. When I don't know if you can hear that or not, but hopefully, either way, it's muted now. So if they have all this evidence, as a pretty obvious that they do, again, is what are they waiting for? Where's the grand jury? Where's the grand jury? Where are the arrests and where are the prosecutions? We have to wait. See, this is really what's going to come down to, like Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, of who they're going to be in the long run. Because I have a lot more trust for Kash Patel than I do for Pam Bondi. And this is her opportunity to show who she really is, one way or the other. It is Kash Patel's bravery who exposed Russia in the first place, who took all the risk to bring it to light. Kash Patel has shown it before that he is willing to put it all on the line to stand up for America and go up against the deep state. Now Pam Bondi needs to show who she is. And the sooner this all happens, the more faith the American people will have. Because at the end of the day, if these corrupt bureaucrats, if these government gangsters, if they do not go to prison, then as soon as Donald Trump is out of office, the minute the Democrats are back in power, the first thing that they will do is they will go right back to what they were doing in the first place. If none of these people are held accountable, the corrupt deep state will come right back. The DOJ and the FBI will selectively prosecute conservatives. They will take away your free speech. They will take away your guns. This is the Democrats' ultimate goal. Because once they do that, once they can progress their liberalism and their progressivism, then all their activism will lead them on to finishing the communist revolution. Okay, never doubt that for a second. That's exactly what the Democrats want, to have permanent power over you. They were one election away. If Kamala Harris had won in 2024, they would have finished everything they tried to do in the Biden administration. They would have taken away the rest of your rights. They would have torn up the Bill of Rights, and they would have finished the communist revolution, and your children would never know freedom. We have a once-in-a-generation chance to take our country back. In fact, most generations don't even see this opportunity. Typically, governments in these deep states, they just grow and grow and grow and grow, and they get more and more and more corrupt. They don't ever actually go backwards. But we have the opportunity to do that, but most never ever have the chance to do so. And this can't be wasted. It cannot just be Donald J. Trump. It has to be the people around him, or it's just not going to be enough. The Democrats screwed up huge. They don't realize how badly they screwed up by taking Charlie Kirk out. But they are going to find out. Now we're very likely going to win the midterms, which we already had a very good map to do so before all this happened. And there's a very good chance that as popular as Democrats are, that we retain the White House. So the question is now, what are we going to do with this chance that we have? Are we going to take our country back? Or are they going to let scumbags like Ilhan Omar stay on her committee meetings, just enough Republicans to screw us over again? These Rhino Uniparty deep state scumbags. And with those thoughts, I am way over on break. When we come back, we had a huge name on the left who was just fired, as with many others, of finding out now there's a difference between your First Amendment right versus praising and celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk and then lying about who did it. As the Democrats have gotten so used to not being held responsible for their actions, now they're screwing around and now they're finding out. We have that and a whole lot more. When we come back, you're not going to miss it. This is the Kash Loren Show.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2025, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage on all 3 of the major networks, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Folks, have you wanted to start a podcast but you just don't know where to begin? Podbeam is your all-in-one solution to host your podcast and distribute it all across the internet. With my code on the affiliate link down below, you will gain also 1 month free to try the Podbeam service. This is really your one-stop solution to hosting your podcast. Record it, you put it up to just a single upload, then that upload will distribute to all of the main platforms all across the internet, including Apple and Spotify and many, many others. It will then also automatically share your podcast across all major social media, making your job easier so you can spend more time recording the podcasts that you love and less time managing them on the back end. Podbeam is your all-in-one solution for your podcast needs. Click on the link below, the CASHLOREN, and get your 1 free month today. The corporate media has lied to the American voters for such a long time that they have lost all their influence as a result. And this has also led to the rise of the independent creators, just like here on the Kash Loren Show, where we take our spare bedroom and convert it into a studio. If you're enjoying this content, it will always be free, but you can continue to help support monetarily if you choose to do so. Click on the locals link. It is only $5 a month. This is just a cup of coffee. Not only will you be supporting an independent creator, but you'll be getting lots of free perks in addition to that as well, including exclusive articles and Sunday shows, and thanking you at the end of videos with your name recognition. Take a moment and consider and help support independent creators as we fight fake news. Go to locals right now, hit the support button for just a cup of coffee a month. It'll be worth every single penny, and you'll gain lots of extra benefits too. Well, the Democrats have enjoyed the two-tier justice system for far too long, that they think that they can do anything they want and they will not suffer any consequences for their actions. Well, now they have screwed around and now they are finding out. And we're dealing with the worst human beings on the planet. This is from the left and the Democrats, and they're really exposing themselves after they shot Charlie Kirk. As you saw, thousands of these people on the left praising and celebrating this awful, horrific tragedy. And then some of the ones that were celebrating, but then we're also trying to blame the right for what happened to Charlie Kirk. Like somebody shot him in celebration. I mean, they actually said that on MSNBC. When I say that you do not hate corporate media enough, I mean that you do not hate the corporate media enough. These are the most vile, vicious, evil people on the planet. And they lie and they pretend that they're journalists, but really they're nothing more than Democrat activists. And it's great to be back with you here, folks, on the Kash Loren Show. Appreciate every single one of you. If you're enjoying the show, take a moment and hit the repost and share and help us spread an American First message with your audience and your friends and family. Well, we start this next segment here with Jimmy Kimmel, who has never been funny, well, until today, what happened to him. As he said, one of the many awful things that we're talking about, where he tried to shamelessly and blatantly lie MAGA for the shots on Charlie Kirk, when this is clearly someone who's radicalized by the left. And on his show last night, he shamelessly called Kirk's assassin a MAGA, despite all the links to where it's being leftism. And this is, of course, what they do when they try to marry a truth to a lie. Meaning that from all accounts that we can tell, this kid came from a good, normal nuclear family. And from my understanding, they are Mormons. However, at some point, he became radicalized. And this is when the Democrats, when they try to ignore the truth and lie to you, it's because they went from that part to see, he is a white Christian. But of course, if you stop there, then no one else would have the rest of the context. And what of course it came out is the shooter, that through text and interrogations, he admits that he was driven radical by the left wing. In fact, on his bullets, he had all these Antifa sayings etched onto the bullet casings. And then, in addition to that, he said that he was radicalized by the left. And his parents noticed that he was becoming more and more political, more and more off the rails, and more left. But Jimmy Kimmel, he went on his show and he decided to lie to his audience and tell them that this kid was MAGA. But the same BS they've been trying to push this whole time. And this, of course, caused massive amounts of outrage as the Democrats continue to be on the wrong side of every single issue that there is. And so on the morning today, this is the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, threatened action against Jimmy Kimmel and ABC for falsely claiming millions of viewers of Charlie Kirk assassin was MAGA. And then warning him and Disney that if not fired, the ABC may lose their broadcasting license. This would be, of course, huge. Well, he got fired, and rightfully so. And we're going to cover the First Amendment parts here in just a moment. But this is where, of course, the left, the mainstream media, are absolutely freaking out all over again because they've gotten so used to doing and saying anything they want and not facing any consequences for their actions. Okay, your First Amendment right to speak your mind is not a First Amendment right not to suffer consequences for what you do or what you say. You can say it, but it doesn't mean that there's not consequences. And either they don't know that or they're intentionally lying about it. I think there's a mixture of both. So we had Greg Gutfeld, he cut a couple here. We're breaking. ABC has pulled Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air indefinitely following the comments he made in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder. This is Greg Gutfeld. He posted Media Touch, far-wing leftist. And then, of course, his person, Jessica Tarlov, he works over at Fox, and she's over there spouting her leftist nonsense over there. Free speech advocates on the right have a lot of heavy lifting to do. No, we don't. See, this is the part where either she knows better or she's lying. It's one of the two, because the First Amendment does not mean any of that. And then Greg Gutfeld, I think, gives the perfect answer here. Pretty easy lift. You have the right to be wrong. Your company that you work for has a right to pull you for it. The heavy lifting is on your end because you would have made your case. 100% facts there. And she absolutely got nuked, and the rest of the left did too. And they just can't put themselves on the right side of a single issue. The left just seems impossible to do it. As now the Disney ABC to keep their licenses has then removed Jimmy Kimmel off the air nationwide effective immediately, and then definitely following the marks about Charlie Kirk. Good. And then hopefully this ends ABC's career. The next star, the media group who owns most of the broadcasting under, I think this is under Disney, they essentially gave us long posts, but essentially said what he said does not meet with our values and blah, blah, blah. Hey, let's be clear about the First Amendment. The First Amendment gives you a right to speak your, because I think it's coming back. Oh my gosh. So that the First Amendment gives you your right to to speak your mind to your government. In fact, very early on, it was the Supreme Court who expanded the First Amendment, because initially under our founding, the way it was worded was just to the federal government. And it was SCOTUS that said no, gave a much bigger, broader sheesh. Hopefully we can keep the stream. It keeps cutting out. So we'll go for as long as I can, and hopefully it gets fixed and we get our connection back. But so that is your First Amendment right. But your First Amendment right protects your right to speak your mind. Your First Amendment right does not give you the right to not suffer consequences for what you do or what you say. It really is that simple. If you say something that is so abhorrent and evil and awful, like you want someone to die or you're glad that somebody did, your employer has a right to look at that. And so maybe I don't want this person working for my company. And what I think is something truly horrific is something that we need to address as a nation is a lot of these people who are proud and happy about what happened to Charlie Kirk. They're in the education system. Why the heck are teachers praising a free speech warrior's death? Every single one of those teachers should be found and should be fired. This is consequences for your actions. I don't care who you are, just like Jimmy Kimmel or anybody else. We also had Chuck E. Cheese Schumer here, who is melting down and compares the Trump to Xi and to Putin. Of course he does. Like, what is the Democrats? They don't get it. They'll never learn. They continue to be on the wrong side and say all the wrong things and make themselves less and less popular. You know, Turning Point USA has exploded since Charlie Kirk's death. And we're having a lot of people that would used to be hardcore on the left that they Okay, it looks like it's back. I'm trying to find in my stack somewhere. I have some quotes here, and I don't know where they went, so they'll just have to. Hopefully, they will come up later. I'm just going to read them to you, but I don't. Let me just bear with me for a second here, folks, and see if I can find where I put it. Okay, here it is. Here, so this is Nicole Shanahan, who ran with RFK to try to become president. And she has been a hardcore Democrat left her entire life. Well, the Democrats, they've gone so far on the wrong side of every single issue that they've even lost her. As this is what Nicole Shanahan said. I was wrong to ever trust these people. Many Democrats are open to acceptance that they were wrong and they were misguided. They were lied to. And it's all this bait and switch. And nobody in the right mind can continue to support that. 100% agree. All the Democrats now that are crying for unity, after they spent years calling us fascists and Nazis, they knew exactly what they were doing. They were putting targets on our back, and they were hoping to dehumanize us enough to the point that somebody would come and kill us. They were trying to get what happened to Charlie Kirk to happen. And now that it happened, the Democrats are celebrating it. The ones that are pretending to be a whore by this, they are liars. And you can tell by how they're acting. And of course, people like Jasmine Crockett has decided that she's got to make this all about her and how she doesn't feel safe in America as a Black woman.
And frankly, when people sit around and say things like, oh, you know, we're happy because now we feel safe. I don't know who feels safe in this country except for the white supremacists, because I specifically as a Black woman definitely don't feel safe.
She is one of the most vile, disgusting, race-baiting pieces of crap in Congress. She's constantly competing with AOC and the others to be the dumbest person to speak. And I really hope that they keep a microphone in front of Jasmine Crockett's mouth 24/7 so she can continue to say things like that. Right after Charlie Kirk lost his life, she has the nerve to say that. And after the Ukraine girl, after she was stabbed for no reason by a black man, that she has the insanity to say something like that. Please keep a microphone in front of her face. Please keep them talking as often as possible. She is one of the worst people on the planet. How just disgusting and foul and wrong. But the Democrats, they just think that they can keep saying this stuff. And then it doesn't matter if it's true. For them, all it matters is they said it. I mean, Jasmine Crockett says she doesn't feel safe because she's a black woman. Where is she getting that from? Her own made-up mind, I guess, because she is so infected by the identity politics of the left that they've lied to themselves into this bubble that, all the white people are bad and all the people of color are good. So therefore, because she's a person of color, then she's under the threat from all the white people who are bad. Absolutely a whore and lying. And let me be very, very clear about this. Okay, it doesn't matter what color your skin is. And it doesn't matter what your background here is. In the United States of America, you have more opportunity now than anybody in the history of the world. Doesn't matter what your skin color is. Doesn't matter what your background is. You have the right in the United States of America to pursue happiness. Regardless. And if you believe that poison like Jasmine Crockett is spewing there, if you take a bite of that poison fruit, you will ruin your own life. You will destroy your own opportunities. Do not believe that lie for a single second, because Jasmine Crockett is lying to you. Life, honestly, is hard. Okay, making good, smart decisions is the hard, narrow path. It is. It just is. It's harder to go to work. It's harder to budget money than it is to blame the government and blame the white people for all your problems. But if you do it, if you take the narrow path, if you take the harder path, you can find the types of freedoms and all of your wildest dreams can become true. It's very difficult. It's not easy. It can often take years of hard work, setting goals, and dedication. But that is the path forward. It's our side. It's the conservative side. It's our side who believes in independence, who believes in liberty, who believes in free speech, who believes in your right to pursue happiness. The Democrats don't believe in any of that. They want to take all of that from you. But the very heart of the Democrat Party is hatred. It's vile and it's vicious and it's evil. And listen to their words over and over again. What they tell you over and over again is that you can't do it and you need them. You see, the Democrats are villains, and villains always need victims. But you don't have to be a villain, and you don't have to be a victim. You can be the hero in your story. And the American dream is there for you. All you have to do is pursue it. With that, we're over on a break, and we'll come back with this and a whole lot more here on the Kash Loren Show. You're not going to meet it. We'll be right back after this greedy profit break. This is the Kash Loren Show.
Throughout history, the spirit of patriotism has prevailed. The battles may have changed, but the values remain the same. Today, in 2025, we find ourselves at a pivotal moment where the call for unity, freedom, and a better future echoes louder than ever. For more than 10 years, Patriot Mobile has been committed to supporting the values that make our nation great. With affordable plans and reliable nationwide coverage on all 3 of the major networks, Patriot Mobile is not just a wireless service. It's a call to action for those who believe in the American dream. Because this year is not just any year, it's the most important year since our nation's founding. Choose a wireless carrier that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Folks, have you wanted to start a podcast but you just don't know where to begin? Podbeam is your all-in-one solution to host your podcast and distribute it all across the internet. With my code on the affiliate link down below, you will gain also 1 month free to try the Podbeam service. This is really your one-stop solution to hosting your podcast. Record it, you put it up to just a single upload, then that upload will distribute to all of the main platforms all across the internet, including Apple and Spotify and many, many others. It will then also automatically share your podcast across all major social media, making your job easier so you can spend more time recording the podcasts that you love and less time managing them on the back end. Podbeam is your all-in-one solution for your podcast needs. Click on the link below, the CASHLOREN, and get your 1 free month today. The corporate media has lied to the American voters for such a long time that they have lost all their influence as a result. And this has also led to the rise of the independent creators, just like here on the CASHLOREN show, where we take our spare bedroom and convert it into a studio. If you're enjoying this content, it will always be free, but you can continue to help support monetarily if you choose to do so. Click on the locals link. It is only $5 a month. This is just a cup of coffee. Not only will you be supporting an independent creator, but you'll be getting lots of free perks in addition to that as well, including exclusive articles and Sunday shows, and thanking you at the end of videos with your name recognition. Take a moment and consider it and help support independent creators as we fight fake news. Go to locals right now, hit the support button for just a cup of coffee a month. It'll be worth every single penny, and you're getting lots of extra benefits too. We had a lot come out today where the Kash Patel has been in the Congress for the last day or two and has released a lot of information that Democrats do not want you to know. And so they try, of course, to flex their muscles and just show how tough they are. Yeah, Democrats, you're really, really tough. You're super tough. You really got them, didn't you? Except they just embarrassed themselves over and over and over again, as they thought they were going to haul Kash Patel in front of Congress and yell and scream at him. And then Kash Patel was somehow, I don't know, going to resign or get fired. What nonsense. And the thing about the left is Kash Patel exposed them in ways that the Democrats and their friends in the uniparty deep state never ever thought that they would be exposed. As it was Kash Patel that broke wide open the Russia from 2016, 2017, exposing that the Obama administration with Hillary Clinton and help of their deep state tried to frame Trump as being a Russian agent when they knew the entire time it was not true, because it was them that made it up. They then funded their own opposition research and tried to use it as intel, and they used this to try to get FISA warrants. Okay, this is how corrupt our deep state is. Okay, they made this stuff up and paid for it. They then leaked it to the press. The press ran with it as if it was gospel. Okay, so all the press, the mainstream media is going along with this hoax that they knew was a lie in the first place in the deep state. And then the deep state, they used the press articles to then open up more investigations like Crossfire Hurricane into the Donald Trump administration. They then went back to these FISA judges to get warrants like on Carter Page and others when they knew it was all BS. And on top of knowing it was all BS, they hid information from the judges, like this. The main things that they were going for was opposition research, not intelligence. Or that even Obama's own intelligence agencies knew that Russia didn't have the capabilities or the interest in rigging our elections. But the Democrats pulled that from the White House folder and ran with it anyways because they wanted to get Trump so bad. You will never, ever hate these people enough. Well, now that Kash Patel, they tried to ruin him, just like they tried to ruin Donald Trump, and that all failed. And now Kash Patel is the head of the FBI, the strongest law enforcement in the land. And he has been exposing what was happening, not just inside the bureau, but through the rest of the deep state. And this is why Congress is trying to go after him so bad. But now I want to play this clip here. So this is Eric Swalwell trying to melt down on Kash Patel, and Kash is having absolutely none of it.
Of those individuals have been investigated or have had adverse actions. Director, considering that you have identified these people as, quote, government gangsters, will you recuse yourself from making any investigation decisions about these individuals?
Anyone that has been terminated at the FBI has been done
No, the question
they failed to meet the muster in their constitutional obligation.
I will work on the audio-visual capabilities.
I'm going to borrow your terminology and call bullshit on your entire career in Congress.
I'm reclaiming my time,
It has been a
Director.
disgrace to the American people.
I'm reclaiming my time.
You can reclaim your time all you want.
Mr. Chairman, you're going to allow a witness to speak, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, because he's speaking the truth. And Eric Fang Swalwell just cannot stand it that his same old type of BS just blew up in his face again. These people don't care about facts. They don't care about truth. And they do not want unity with you. They want to slander you into submission. And then the Democrats can't slander you. The next thing that happens is the bullets. Okay, leftism is progressivism, liberalism, whatever they want to call it, is always advanced through activism. They get out on the streets, they hold up their signs, they yell and they scream at you, and they try to get you to not realize that you are the majority of America. Right? They're like the little creature that tries to puff up and look really, really big and tough and scary. But when you stand up to them, when you call them out in their actions, that is the results. So here's another clip of Kash Patel.
There is no incriminating client list. Why was this July 7th memorandum unsigned?
Would you prefer I've used AutoPen?
I gotta say that's one of the best burns I've ever heard. He's talking about, why was this never signed? Would you prefer I did an AutoPen?
Why was it unsigned?
The memorandum had the insignia of the Department of Justice and the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Right. I mean, it's just like, and she used the AutoPen. Oh, that is just so good. Really, really good. And then you had yesterday, this is also Brooker and Patel having it out as Spartacus is interviewing for his next Netflix series.
That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is my
I follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
It is
tears
my
this country
time
apart.
to
There
address
should be a
your
unifying-
falsehoods.
Oh,
You are an
you can try
embarrassment
all
to the
you
division
want
in this
to
country.
not take
It is my
responsibility
time.
for what
You
you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making a
time is
mockery of this
over.
committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
You
The
know how
people
far
of New
we've
Jersey
come
tell me
since
what my
you
time is.
Senator,
You can't lecture me.
you can tell me
Sir,
my time's over.
You may be the charge of the
I'm not
FBI,
going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you. sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
I think Brooke needed a timeout in the safe space after that. At least 15 minutes. These guys are not serious people. They're not. All they care about is power. When he sits there and he talks about how you're tearing the country apart, what he means is that you're not doing exactly what the left wants. This is how insane these people are, is they've convinced themselves that they are morally right through their Marxist commie lens. So if you don't give them what they want, well, then that's your fault, right? If you don't do what the left tells you to do, well, then you're tearing the country apart, right? If you speak truth that the Democrats don't want people to know, well, then you're spreading misinformation and disinformation. If you continue to speak truth that they don't want you to know, then all of a sudden it's hate speech. And they'll start calling you a racist and a bigot and a homophobe and a transphobe, a white nationalist, an extreme MAGA Republican, also that they can try to silence you into submission. That's all the Democrat Party cares about. Understand that the only thing that holds the Democrat Party together is hatred. Hatred for this country and hatred for you, the American people, that you would dare to do anything that they did not give you permission to do. The Democrats do not believe in freedom of speech. The Democrats do not believe in our Constitution. that they see it as it's in their way of having power over you. So they work tirelessly and endlessly to try to take away all of your rights so that they can have more power to rule over you. That is the Democrat Party. And so they go with all their normal yes, right? You're tearing the country apart, meaning that you're standing up for yourself and you're fighting to save our country. That's what Cory Booker and the others are talking about. Nothing that they say is true. And this is continuing to go and be exposed through people like Kash Patel. You want to know why they're going after Kash Patel? Is these kind of reasons here. I mean, imagine if Chris Wray was still in charge of the FBI. None of you would know about the shooter of Charlie Kirk. They would not release any of that information. It would all be locked away in the FBI vault, and it would be classified. You would know nothing. They'd be pushing Epstein 24/7. And then the mainstream media would completely shut down Charlie Kirk, just like they're trying to do now, and they're failing. Right? They would go with their same BS, those both sides arguments, and we just need unity and we need to move on. All of that is a blatant lie, and they know it. And they're already starting to go back to their same old rhetoric and letting it slip through. Okay, so this is, give some examples here. Okay, this is just posted. This is Mehdi Hassan. So he was removed from MSNBC, and he was the one that helped Ilhan Omar do her ridiculous interview where she was calling out conservatives again. And he posted the polls about the Curtin and Trump advisor calling for unadulterated fascism, meaning targeting Laura Loomer. Again, they know what they're doing when they call us fascists, and they're still trying to do it to this day. Nope, it's not there. The other ones are buried in here somewhere. Is that on the right, on our side, we really need to understand what a threat the left is to us. There is no unity. Okay? When the left says unity, what they mean is you shut up and you give the Democrats what they want. That's what they mean by unity. Nothing else. They don't want actual middle. They don't want you to have free speech, and they do not want you to have any rights. Okay, there is no rationale with these people. There is no kumbaya. There is no coming together. It is us versus them. We are at war to save our country. Now, we are very different than the left is, because when we fight our war, we fight it legally and we fight it patriotically. Right? No cities burned. Right? Cops were not assaulted. Stores were not looted. That's not our side. You know, we prayed. And we united in a way that Democrats never, ever would have thought possible. And now Turning Point USA is growing at an exponential rate. We have a once-in-a-generation opportunity here to completely dismantle the left's control over the federal government. And part of what Trump, and thanks to Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel, they're starting to expose just how deep this rabbit hole goes. I mean, if you want to see the deep state and you want to see just how evil these people are and how far they're willing to go, you're never going to have a more opportunity now than you have ever. As it's not just these corrupt politicians, they were taking your tax dollars and they were funding all these radical left-wing extreme ideologies with your money. They'd put it in USAID and then send it out to all these NGOs. And these NGOs will hire for these ridiculous salaries, these hardcore leftist activists to push all this radical ideology in your schools, in corporations, in the government, everywhere that they could, here and abroad. Do not doubt how big of a threat this is for a second. They know what they're doing when they call you fascists. They know what they're doing when they call you Nazis. They know what they're doing when they're calling about hate speech. It's all to dehumanize you so they can put a target on your back. And then when something happens, they can, of course, just justify it. And Charlie Kirk was one of the loudest voices exposing it. And so, of course, what do they do? Fascist, hate speech. And now he's no longer with us. They knew what they were doing. And now that they're trying to pretend for unity, absolute 100% BS. And now they're celebrating what happened to Charlie Kirk. They're getting exactly what they deserved. Not just like Jimmy Kimmel, but many others too. As we had this awful person in Texas University where they mimicked Charlie Kirk and celebrated Charlie Kirk losing his life. And they were expelled for school. Good. And many, many others. Teachers in healthcare. We're finding them and we're exposing them. And we're going to do our best to get every single one fired. Okay, this is not cancel culture. This is completely different. This is responsibility culture for your actions. Cancel culture was a completely different thing. Cancel culture was starting at the end, at the equity, and the left would say that you had to agree with us. And then if you didn't agree with them, they would go back in your past as far as they could and try to find something, anything that you said that they didn't like. And then they try to bully that person, either submission or ruin their life, all for not agreeing with what the Democrats said. Okay, that is cancel culture. That is completely different. That's for something as simple as if you were someone prominent and you were saying, like, I believe in the right to live, right? As a baby at the moment of conception. The left would call that hate speech, and they would try to end your career and end your life for it. Okay, that's cancel culture. Or that if you weren't a rabid leftist, they would try to do everything they could to stop you from getting promotions, to stop you from getting jobs. That's cancel culture. That is not responsibility. This is something completely different. Your free speech gives you the right to speak your mind. That is true, but it does not absolve you of consequences for your actions. And when you praise the death of an innocent person, okay, whatever you think of Charlie Kirk, you don't think, he was just out speaking his mind. He was going out to colleges and he was talking to kids and having an open debate. I mean, how many people do you know put out a microphone and say, you know, go ahead and say anything you want. Let's have a conversation. Let's have a debate. Okay, the Democrats, they don't call you a fascist or a Nazi because they think you're a fascist or a Nazi. They call you a fascist or a Nazi so they can justify your death and justify silencing you and then celebrate it. Just like they did to Charlie Kirk. And this really woke up America. And with that, we are at the very top of the hour. The rest of these stories have to go back in the stack for another day. I appreciate every single one of you being here. Now, we're over 6,000 people on X. It really means a lot to me that every single one of you decide to spend your evening listening to this show. If you enjoy it, take a moment, subscribe and share, and help us spread an American First message. Also, most places that you're listening now, you can hit the subscribe button for just a couple of bucks a month and help us defeat fake news on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 8 p.m., just like the rest of these fine folks have. We'll be back again on Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. This is the Cash Loren Show.